Good morning, Jonathan.
I'm coming.
Hurry up, where are you going?
Oh my gosh.
Where are you? We've got a show to do.
Sorry. It's I'm having a case of the Mondays.
It's a Monday. And it kind of feels like a Monday today. I
A
don't
little
know what
behind the
that's all
scenes
about.
action here.
Oh, filling the water up. No brand placement.
Oh, nope.
Hide that brand, even though you're... So, the NFL draft.
Yeah.
I caught the very tail end of the people talking about the NFL draft.
Yes. Anything of
They
note?
were all excited about getting able to see the behind the scenes kind of, isn't it interesting to be able to watch how this happens behind the scenes and blah, blah, blah. And I thought that was interesting.
It was.
It was the most I saw.
It was the most watched draft ever.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah, I just, in hearing about that, just, it was one of those things that when we start reading all these articles about, like, what's life going to be like after, and how are we all going to be different, and what are things that are going to be changed. I was also watching a little bit of American Idol last night, because, I was cooking in the kitchen, and you need something on, and you don't have to pay attention to that.
That's true.
It just needs to be on. And it was the same thing, like, all of the contestants now for the live shows were streaming from their garages and from their homes.
Oh.
Like, the American Idol sent them a microphone, a ring light, a little camera set up. So they were, like, in their living rooms and in their...
How long before you have a ring light?
Jonathan, it's not going to take long. Let me tell you, I'm getting used to this camera business. But it sounds like things might be changing on the horizon a little bit.
That's what we hear.
I'm sure a lot of you are... have heard the news, are wondering what does this mean, how are things going to happen as we go forward. So on Friday, the governor announced that he was going to open up churches again for the practice of the sacraments and masses and services and things like that. Weddings and funerals, these things would no longer be limited to 10 persons.
Right.
And so now that they're not limited to 10 persons, the Archbishop will open up the celebration of the sacraments once again to a public, so that we don't have to keep people away from the sacraments any longer.
That's excellent.
I know, it's great. So, but I understand at the same time, not everyone is going to be able to come out and rejoin society or go through all of these things. I also understand that some of you are just not going to do it for some time. So we're going to continue our live streaming schedule to some degree, and we're going to figure out this week what that looks like. We'll probably still live stream daily masses, Sunday Mass. We'll continue to do this program to some degree, some devotions and whatnot. So we're figuring all that out, what that looks like. We don't have all of our answers yet.
Right, but as things start to normalize, we also have other things we have to tend to.
Absolutely.
So, this pretty much runs my day.
All of the live streaming events, your
is-
day is chopped up by this.
And then there's no time in between. I haven't gotten really much of any other work done because you sit down to start doing something and it's time to get ready for the next thing.
next program. And so,
but we do want to continue because there is a value.
There is a
that we
value.
can found in
I
this.
love being in your homes. This is a thing that I love having. So we are going to continue on. Yeah. Well, we'll figure it out. So we're looking at, we don't have the official thing from the state yet, the official guidelines regarding what social distancing will look like in churches. And once we have that, then I will be sending out an email on our flock note to everyone who is a member here, who signed up for our emails, so that you know what masses are going to look like, or how that's going to work, and how social distancing is going to work.
And we'll talk about it on here.
We'll talk about it here on the morning show, and of course these are uploaded, and we'll go from there.
It'll be on the website. We'll post it on Facebook.
Yes.
If you want to find it, you'll be able to find it.
You will be able to find it. Absolutely. We don't want to hide from you.
But man, this weather.
It's warming up.
It
I'm
is
wearing a
feeling
sweater
good.
now because it's a little chilly. Not chilly, but
we started the show. It was winter.
I woke up this morning, I'm like, it's rather, it's kind of cool in my house. What the heck? And I came out into the kitchen, and I took Staples to the back door to let him out to do his thing, and apparently I left the door open and the screen. No. So I left I didn't lock up my house last night, so, welcome burglars. But I left the back door wide open, the screen door was open so that the fresh air was coming in, and we aired out the house last night.
That's not a bad thing.
No, it's not. I cooked bacon on Sunday morning, so that was probably good. That we had
a great smell in the house.
Smell, yes, but I had to get rid of that smell.
That rainstorm last night, the thunder.
It was impressive.
I jumped out of bed because usually my kids are scared.
When did that happen?
11:30.
Yes. I'd gone to bed a little early, so I was already kind of out, and then I heard this thing. It's like, oh my goodness!
I thought my kids would be scared because anytime there's thunder or hail, understandably they were scared. I jumped out, ran into their room, and they were sleeping.
So you were the one that was scared, and you crawled into bed with them.
What?
It's like, Joshua, can I sleep with you? I'm scared.
Pretty much.
Jonathan, we have an exciting show for you today.
We do have an exciting show.
That's right. We are kicking Jonathan off the set. And we are welcoming in...
a special guest.
A special guest. So, Jonathan, get out of here.
All right.
And I would like to bring in one of our Archdiocesan Seminarians, our very own from St. Charles Borromeo, Thomas Mattia.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome, Thomas. How are you doing?
Pretty good, Father.
You should be at school.
I am, kind of.
This is seminary in COVID-19 land, yes?
Yes, it's quite different.
It is quite different. So, for those of you who don't know Thomas, you've seen him probably on our daily masses and on our Sunday masses. He's the one that's smoking everything up with the thurible, and he's ringing the bells that might be breaking your eardrums if you watch on YouTube, so you can blame him for all of that.
Thanks, Father.
You're welcome. So you're from this parish.
Yes.
Always been from this parish?
No, because I was born before it existed.
Aha. So where were you before that?
I was baptized and received First Communion at Holy Ghost in South Omaha, I guess.
Okay.
And then sometime between 2nd grade and 3rd grade, we moved here.
Got it. And so you've been here most of your life?
Yes.
Yeah. Confirmed here?
Yes.
And you are college seminarian, 4th year?
Yes.
Yeah.
For a few more weeks.
For a few more weeks, and then you graduate.
Yes.
How are they doing that this year?
We have no idea.
No idea. Like everyone else. What's going to happen with graduation?
I imagine I will get a diploma in the mail in July.
Well, I remember my college graduation was nothing terribly special. I do remember the guy who spoke, his last name was Raspberry, I think, and that's the only reason why I remember it. That is a raspberry, in case you don't know that. But I don't remember what he talked about. I remember walking across the stage. I remember shaking Archbishop Flynn's hand. That's all I remember. Yeah. So tell us, Thomas, 4 years of seminary. Did you enter seminary right out of high school?
Yes.
So what was that, what's your vocation story? People always ask, like, how do you know you were called to be a priest? What's that all about? What's your story?
So I think the first time I can remember thinking about the priesthood, I just received First Communion, and one of the gifts I received was a little First Communion missal. And so with that, I would celebrate Mass with my siblings at home. I enjoyed doing that. They did not.
You made them go to church.
Yes, more than they were used to. So I think I only did it 2 or 3 times. But that was like the first time, because I always remembered paying attention to Father at Mass, and I enjoyed going. And so probably like the next step I kind of remember thinking about was I want to be an altar server. So I asked Father Hunky if I could be an altar server earlier at St. Charles than 5th grade. And he said, if you pray a lot. And I thought, no, I don't want to do that.
I don't want to pray. I just want to do things up at the altar.
So I waited till 5th grade. But from there, just kind of being at the altar, learning how to serve was a lot of fun. I always wanted to be the ones like who would serve Christmas, who would serve Easter. What's our schedule, Mom? Can we sign up? So that was always something I really wanted to do.
Did you get the Star Server Award?
Yes.
Aha. So did I.
Yes.
Just saying.
So kind of going through middle school, I always enjoyed doing that. And then I guess I'd always kind of thought about priesthood. But as I entered high school, I thought, well, here's all these other things I'd like to do with my life. And if those would all fail, then maybe priesthood.
So then we'll fall back on priesthood.
So it was like the last chance plan. So kind of entering high school, going to youth group, kind of think about the priesthood a little bit. And then it kind
What did you want to be if you weren't a priest? Did you have like ideas like, okay, I'm going to focus on this, or I kind of...
Yes.
Because people always ask in high school, so what do you want to do when you grow up?
Yes. So I remember thinking, maybe something like geography, because I enjoyed geography and history, maybe teaching. It wasn't really anything, I guess, set in stone so much.
Okay.
There were various ideas kind of floating through my head.
Sure.
So kind of entering high school, I enjoyed going to youth group. I enjoyed CCD, paying attention in class. And so kind of when it kind of picked up again was at the beginning of my junior year of high school. So when I had my driver's permit, I could drive myself now, and so I started going to daily mass for the summer and weekly confession, which I know are big things for every high school junior, is now the opportunity to go to daily mass.
Yeah, of course.
Maybe that's a sign. So from there, I remember meeting with Mr. LaRue, and he gave me a flyer to kind of meet the seminarians of the Archdiocese before I entered my junior year of high school. And so I went there, and I actually met like seminarians for the first time, and it was like, oh, this is like what you do to become a priest.
Yeah, nobody knows. I swore when I was a kid, I didn't know what seminary was like. You know, I wanted to be a priest when I was in high school, but I didn't know how that process worked. For all I knew, every summer there was this incubator at the Vatican that all of a sudden, you know, some new priest hatched, and then they just sent them out, and you parachuted into a parish, and sometime in the middle of June, this new guy was walking down the aisle. And that's all I knew about seminary. But that's not quite how it works.
No.
You're actually a person before you become a priest.
Yes. So when I was there, I was actually able to meet these persons. And like, oh, so they all had their own kind of story, how God had kind of called them. And they were all very different and unique, but there was something, I guess, very attractive about it. So, like, while we were there, Father Hazing kind of spoke kind of briefly.
Because Father Paul Hazing was the Vocations Director at that time.
Yes. Yeah. So we kind of met them, and we prayed Vespers that evening, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. I want to learn how to pray the Liturgy of the Hours. So I went out and bought 1 volume, breviary, and I learned how to kind of pray night prayer, evening prayer, and morning prayer, and I would do that throughout the last years of high school.
Okay, wow.
And then kind of, I guess, the last 2 steps, so to speak, was February of my junior year of high school. I went on a seminary visit to St. John Vianney, where I currently attend, kind of.
Yeah, what kind of? Virtually?
Virtually.
Yep.
In St. Paul, Minnesota. So we went up at the end of February. It was freezing. There was a lot of snow.
Of course.
I wasn't sure what to expect. But while we were there, we had a lot of fun. We played football on the
Did you go up with the diocesan?
Yes,
was it the Vocations Director who took you up?
I think 10 of us that went up.
Wow, that was good.
We went to philosophy class with them. We had mass, holy hour with them. We played football at midnight on the football field. It's like, oh, they do things here. It's not like a strict monastery.
You're not just like chained to your desk and.
Yes, they're real people.
They're real people. And the nice thing about St. John Vianney is that it's on. I went to St. John Vianney years ago. I graduated in 1996. How old were you in 1996?
I was not yet born.
Oh, thanks for making me feel old. So I graduated in 1996 from St. John Vianney, and the nice thing about it is that it's right in the heart of a university campus. And so you are there taking classes with regular students, and in kind of you have the seminary building, which is its own thing, but then you're a college student in many ways, as well as being a college seminarian.
Yes.
Yeah. So what's a typical day when you're like, not now, but before you got like sent out of there?
Yes.
What does a typical day look like in general? Because I know days they all kind of differ, but in general, what does the schedule look like for a college seminarian?
A typical day at SJV, at least for me, I would wake up at 5:45 in the morning, kind of make my bed, brush my teeth, all that. I'd pray the office of readings, and I'd report down to the sacristy about 6:15 because my job this year was liturgy, so I was like making sure everything was running, just making sure all the things were being put out for kind of morning adoration. So at 6:29, we pray the Angelus in the lobby, and then we go into the chapel. We have Eucharistic exposition and adoration for about an hour. And then we pray morning prayer at 6:30, and then benediction happens at 7:25.
Okay.
From there, breakfast classes throughout the morning, the afternoon.
Breakfast not in the seminary building
Correct.
itself.
You
go to the cafeteria.
The normal cafeteria on campus. So we typically throw a bunch of tables together and eat roughly together, and guys leave as they need to for class.
Sure. Okay.
Kind of morning classes, guys will exercise, study, have lunch.
So regular college schedule, whatever your class schedule is like, you kind of do that, and your free time is when you don't have class, and okay.
So at some point today, I'd pray like daytime prayer, I'd pray a rosary, kind of walk you to or from class. The afternoons, sports kind of show up on the board. So it's like, if you want to play ultimate frisbee, be in the lobby at 3. Okay. Wiffle ball, would be having wiffle ball season right now, or basketball, or football, or soccer.
Sure.
There's lots of things.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of the day, and then the evening, the next kind of formal commitment on our schedule is 5 o'clock evening prayer, Vespers.
Okay.
And then usually that's immediately followed by Mass about 5:20. So
you have evening Mass?
Yes, usually. Typically.
You had your morning devotions and then evening Mass.
It works best with how the college schedule works.
Yeah.
There's exceptions.
Of course.
From there, we have supper. Typically, you're either with like a group from the floor you live on with your diocese, a group of friends. The evening suppers are a little bit more structured in kind of who you're typically with.
Okay. So they build community and fraternity and brotherhood and whatnot, and
yes.
like through those evening meals. And
yes. Also, we have an open door policy. Like your door does not shut in the seminary unless you are sleeping, need intense study, or like changing clothes.
Of course. What about when you leave?
The door stays open.
Yeah, that's the way it was when I was there. Like everybody pretty much had the doors propped open in the seminary, and then we were burgled one time. And I remember someone broke into the seminary, and I was one of the rooms that got so it took all my quarters for laundry, found my money that I had, cash wherever in my sock drawer, and took my cologne. I was upset.
That did not happen to us. The doors stay open, so we can just kind of pop in and out of guys' rooms.
It is nice.
It's I think one of the things that really helps build fraternity, because I can just, if I'm bored, I can wander the floor and be like, "What are you doing? Can I distract you from your studies?"
Exactly. So, nice.
So after that, we have study hours, then 3 nights a week from 7 to 8:30. So this is like formal time. We're all in our rooms. We're expected to be studying for class. And so that's usually, you can go to the library if you need to, but usually we're in the seminary, and then after that, the evening is free. 1 night a week we have a floor meeting in which kind of the upcoming week is discussed, like
sure.
Any obligations, anything out of the usual, any special guests that are coming. Otherwise, you're free, and then lights out is 9:30.
Really?
Yep, so that's when...
So you have a
quiet
bed?
Hours.
Oh.
That's when quiet hours begin. Guys can certainly stay up later. Many do.
Sure. Yeah, it's college life. Yeah.
But then I would usually try and be in bed by 10:15 at the latest.
And then Saturdays and Sundays, a little bit, aside from prayer schedule?
Yeah, so morning prayers and holy hours in the morning on those days, masses in the morning at 9 and 10, so you get to sleep in a little, and then the rest of the day is usually free.
Now, as a college seminarian, what do you study? What do you major in? Because you major, correct?
Yes.
You major in something.
So we are all required to major in philosophy. Approximately 90% of us also do Catholic studies. Then I'm probably part of the third that does a third major.
Okay, so you're triple majoring. What's your third major?
Classical languages, Latin and Greek, and then I have a theology minor.
So a lot of those things overlap,
yes,
so that makes it possible. Yeah, because since I've been in seminary, when I was in seminary, we were required to take 24 hours of philosophy, which at that time was a minor. So you had to minor in philosophy. There were certain theology courses that we were required to take, and then you could major in whatever you wanted to. And so at the time, I majored in speech communications, and I minored in philosophy. But we had, you're now able to, you got to major in philosophy because the bishops increased the number of hours required for philosophy. But Catholic studies and English or literature, so there are a number of things that will overlap in some of those things.
There's a core curriculum we all have to take.
Right.
You still have to take, I think, 3 theology classes.
Yep.
1 class on the catechism. You go through the entire catechism in 1 semester, and then 3 semesters of Latin.
Okay. Very good. So what happens, so now that you're not in seminary, you just get to do whatever? No. I imagine they're still doing their classes like any university is right now, online classes, etc., etc. But how does the seminary engage you guys now?
It's a little bit different. So for us, they're still trying to figure out how we'll kind of do some with the seniors. We still kind of have formation meetings via Zoom. I call into my spiritual director every 2 weeks. Classes are over Zoom, so I've got a class on St. John Henry Newman at 10:55 today. But other than that,
Okay.
They're still kind of working at what that looks like. Like our spiritual conferences were interrupted.
Yeah. Wow. Are they live streaming like liturgy and that you guys are supposed to show up for or anything like that? No.
No, usually we were all sent home before our spring break on March 20th. So like my brother seminarians in the Archdiocese of St. Paul, Minneapolis are all at a retreat center together with two of our seminary priests. Otherwise, we are split from Mobile to Anchorage.
Yeah, there's a number of dioceses. It's kind of like the middle swath of the country is where most of the guys are from, and then you've got a few
Michigan, the Dakotas, and then we have Mobile, Alabama, Anchorage, Alaska.
Yeah. It's and there's how many guys are at St. John Vianney these days?
This year, approximately like 106. So we are the second largest college seminary in the nation.
Wow. When I was there, 33. We were at that was like the low, that was the trough of seminary life, that it was very low. I remember being there and they were considering closing down some of the floors even because we were living every other room and each one of us individually had a double room to ourselves. It was delightful, but it was there was nobody there. So we were at 33, and then it shot up to like 120 people over the years after.
We hit 160 under Father Bayer in the mid-2000s.
And that was that's amazing. So seminary life is strong and going, and that's great. So what happens after you graduate? You'll graduate with a college degree.
Yes.
And then you're not a priest yet.
No, I go on for 4 more years of major seminary where we study mainly theology, so I would earn an MDiv, possibly an MA or an SDB.
An MDiv is a Master's of Divinity.
Yes.
Or?
Master of Arts in Theology.
Mm-hmm.
And then some seminaries like Kenrick have the ability to grant a Bachelor of Sacred Theology and SDB, which is the entry-level degree on the pontifical degree scale.
Right. It's essentially a master's degree, but it's in the European system. Because it's granted by the Holy See in some sense. They've got oversight in that. So that I had an STB in my seminary, so that was the master's I studied with. But it's essentially a master's of theology in a different system.
So I have been accepted to Kenrick Glennon Seminary in St. Louis, so starting next year, I'll go down to St. Louis for 4 more years of seminary. And I'm not really quite sure what that looks like because I've actually never had a chance to visit Kenrick before this.
So you've never stepped foot on campus there?
No, I was.
Have you ever been to St. Louis?
Once.
Okay, I've only been to St. Louis once as well, but I've never been to Kenrick. So I've seen pictures of it. It reminds me of the Nebraska State Capitol in many ways.
Oh yes,
with that tower. I think the architect was he the same architect, or am I totally making that up? I don't know. I don't know either, but you would look at that and say, that looks like our state capitol.
Yes, I'm looking forward to going. I think we have 8 to 10 seminarians currently there and Father Hazing, so there's a lot of brothers down there. There's currently 8 of us at SJV, so it's nice to have a sizable community and then another sizable community.
Archbishop Lucas used to be the rector at Kenrick Seminary, and so he's very familiar with the seminary there and a big supporter of it. We have been using that seminary for some time. It's kind of one of our core seminaries, I would say, for forming our guys.
Yes.
Good place to be. Awesome. So, what do you spend your time doing when you're not studying or being a seminary guy?
At home now? Or
yeah. What do you like? What do you do outside of praying and studying?
Well, I like to read at home. Some help with the cooking, chores around the house. I'll pray my holy hour in the mornings. At seminary, we play sports, so right now this would be wiffle ball season, but that's not happening. Obviously, we also have a soccer game with the major seminary. And
Thomas is out in his front yard playing with the wiffle ball, so if you see him pitch it up and
we play kickball in the backyard now.
Awesome.
Yeah, awesome. I've got papers coming due, so I spend a lot of time inside now.
Yeah, you definitely have some work that needs to be done. We've got some questions here. Michelle asks if there's anything we can do to help you in your journey as you continue.
Prayers, especially that I get a draft of my philosophy paper done today and tomorrow.
Lots of prayers. That's an important thing. I think prayers are important. It's always good to hear from folks back home. I remember when I was in seminary, getting real mail. That's like a deal, to get some real mail, to get a card, to get a letter to hear that people are praying for you, they are thinking about you. I mean, I think that's an appreciated thing. If you don't know where to send them, like right now, you could send them here you could send cards or letters or whatnot to Thomas here at the parish, because he's here every day, and we can get them to him. Yeah, I think prayers are a big thing. Support is always nice. Once we're out of quarantine or whatnot, if you want to invite the seminarian over to the house for dinner, I always thought that was a nice thing to get to know the parishioners that were supporting me behind the scenes, and so I'm sure that will be a welcome thing once, like I said, if we can start being together again.
Yes.
But one of the things we have here at St. Charles is the Vocations crucifix, and at Masses we send this cross home with a different family or a different household every week. And they take this home and they place it in a prominent place within their house. And then we send them also this little booklet that we made. And this booklet is available on our website. So if you go to our website at St. Charles and you look at, I think it's under Holy Orders. So if you go to the Sacraments and under Holy Orders, you will find this booklet that offers a lot of scripture and a lot of prayers and just for vocations. And so pray for vocations, because we need good and holy men and women serving the church today. So, Thomas, this is my gift to you.
Oh,
have a prayer book. Also, the Archdiocese of Omaha Office of Vocations and the Sarah Club of Omaha are initiating this new project, Suffering for Vocations. And that's not just the seminarians in school who are suffering. We want to share that suffering with all of you. So, no, I'm kidding. What this is, it's the Apostolate for Suffering for Vocations. And basically it's the recognition that especially if I'm at home, if I'm homebound, if I have a chronic illness, or if I'm in pain, or whatever kind of suffering that I may have, loneliness, physical, mental anguish, whatever, to consciously offer that suffering for the priesthood, for the seminarians who are in seminary studies, and for the young men maybe who are considering priesthood or who don't even know that they should be considering priesthood, that your prayers are powerful. There's nothing more powerful, Thomas, than when we unite our crosses to the cross of Christ. Great graces flow out of that. So if you're interested in this, we have these brochures here at the parish. You can pick them up in the hallway, or you can call or email Diane, and she'll put one in the mail to you to just kind of encourage you to share your suffering for all of those vocations to the priesthood. Yeah. There's an interesting question there. Is every order the same, and into which order will you go, Thomas?
Every order is not the same, and I'm not going into an order. I'm a seminarian for the diocesan priesthood, so I would serve under a bishop in a particular territory, which is the Archdiocese of Omaha, running from Bellevue all the way to Stewart, and then Central City to South Sioux. So this little corner of northeast Nebraska. So if I had wanted to be a Jesuit, a Benedictine, a Dominican, a Canons regular of some kind, that would involve applying to them and being sponsored by them, and I would not be here right now.
Correct. So there's two different kinds of priests. There's your diocesan secular priest, and then there is the religious or the consecrated priest. And so the religious order priests are those that leave their home territory and join a particular order or community, like the Benedictines, the Franciscans, as you were saying. And the diocesan priests are priests that are tied to territory. And so these are the men who serve a diocese, and that diocese is bounded by boundaries, and you serve under a bishop. And so, yeah, that's a good question. Good question. Someone made a comment before, they had no idea there was so much schooling involved. And I think a lot of people, priests aren't dum-dums, and they're not supposed to be anyway. I remember when I was a little kid, Father Francis Price, he was telling us all the things that a priest needed to have. And he says one of the things, they need to be of average intelligence. You don't need to be Einstein, but you also don't want to be a dum-dum. And so we do want we want to have men who understand the church, who know some history, who are adept in spirituality and all these sorts of things. And so, you pretty much all of your priests have the equivalent of the education that a medical doctor would, or a lawyer, or 4 years of college, 4 years of graduate school. And so many priests hold, all priests hold at least a master's degree in something. And so, you gotta know some stuff. Absolutely. Well, Thomas, thank you for joining us for the show today. It was, I'm sure a lot of people found that interesting, like what the life of a seminarian is like, and to get to know the man behind the cassock and surplice there, floating around behind me at the altar on weekday mass and on Sunday masses. It was good to take a break from Jonathan here, so that was nice. Thank you for doing that. And just one thing for all of you. We'll talk more, certainly as the week goes on, about how we will kind of reopen the parish little by little and engage one another here at the place. And also, finally, we are going to have overnight adoration for First Friday and First Saturday. We ask that you sign up on Sign Up Genius, and I think that, is that on our website, Jonathan? Do you know? No. But it went out in an email, so you can find that link and sign up there. We have a couple hours that are open, but we do need you to sign up because we are still under the 10-person max gathering rule until the 4th.
I'll put it on the website.
Jonathan may put it on the website if he has time between live streaming events. All right, well, Thomas, you have a good day. Get your papers written.
Yes.
And thanks a lot for joining us today. Have a great day. It's going to be a beautiful spring day.
Thank you, Father.
Absolutely.